Kingsborne is a tactic, my first for FM20, that's meant to be used by sides who are expecting to face a dogfight for survival. Basically, any side that wants to punch above its weight can use the system. For the last few seasons, I've always favoured double defensive midfielder systems with a strike force of 2 led by a target man. It's a system that Kingstonian used to successfully navigate their way out of the Van Rama National South in one season. The logic in the system is simple. Create 2 banks of players that are going to be hard to break down. Then once the ball is won, use quick transitions to move the ball up quickly. To encourage this further, we use several roles in the system who either bring the ball up quickly or encourage the ball to move quickly. There are 2 versions of this tactic. Being an underdog side, most teams are not going to expect to see me coming. So I tend to be a bit aggressive at the start and I tend to use counter press a lot. However, once the season gets underway and teams start looking at me and they are a bit more savvy about my threat, they start becoming a bit more cautious, and when that happens, I remove counter press and I actually play with regroup, and I change the TI slightly around so that I can draw them out and then slap them across their face with another goal. There are a bunch of key roles in this system, and one of these roles can be upgraded if you have a better side. The roles you want to pay attention to are the Segundo Volante, the wingback on the left, the target man, the wide midfielder, and the no-nonsense central defender. If you have a better team, you should think of changing the role of the no-nonsense central defender to a ball-playing defender. He's one of the outlets for a ball over the top that should easily get lapped up by 2 strikers who are continuously testing high defensive lines. The wingback is meant to work closely with the wide midfielder down the left flank. This is a combination that will work well together. Since the wide midfielder doesn't have a lot of ambition to go down the flanks, this will give the wingback more room to attack if they can draw players onto them. The idea here is to create chances for the wingback to explode down the flanks to deliver dangerous crosses to the target man. These crosses can either be converted by the target man or the pressing forward on attack. To pull this off, the wingback needs attributes like acceleration, crossing, passing, off the ball, balance, agility. Nothing less than 15 for acceleration and at least 12 for the rest of the attributes. The wide midfielder may be a generic role, but don't discount that. He has the potential of being one of the top assist generators in this tactic. Passing, dribbling, vision, decisions, and off the ball are going to be important attributes. He should also have positioning, bravery, work rate, and at least good tackling. Ideally, you also want him to play killer balls and be playing on his right foot so that he dribbles inside. Now, I understand people will go, so why don't you use an inverted winger? I don't want to use an inverted winger because he is actually mentally more aggressive than a wide midfielder, so he will be positioned further forward. What I want is a player who will be more circumspect with his positioning, but will be a danger with the driving runs if the wingback is able to pull players away. This makes the wide midfielder a secondary threat on the left flank. The combination of the wingback and the wide midfielder down the flank will be vital for unlocking that space. We should see the wingback overlap and get chances to deliver unchallenged crosses into the box. I also recommend using low crossing as a team instruction to ensure we get as many cutbacks as possible instead of using mixed crossing. In the middle, I'm using a defensive midfielder volante combination. The defensive midfielder has a defensive duty to protect the left flank, which naturally is going to leave holes. The volante is expected to work every blade of grass on the pitch, so you need him to have high work rate, determination, positioning off the ball, passing decisions, vision. He'll be another creative outlet for the team and will link the left and right flanks together. On his right, he should have an inverted winger on support who will cut inside when he has the ball, which should see him drive closer to the volante so finding passes won't be an issue. The idea is to make sure we can transition through midfield as smoothly as possible, which is the reason why I'm using a fullback on support with an overlap to position him high up the pitch in midfield transitions. If you're camping, then the fullback will go down the right flank as the inverted winger drifts inside. Up front is pretty simple. It's a regular target man pressing forward combination. I've actually done a video on this combination being one of my favorites. A pressing forward will always apply pressure, and the two of them can be very dangerous in the box together. I've been asked many times whether one can use a short player as a target man. You can, when you're punching above your weight. Why? Because a lot of teams are going to give you space. They'll be playing with a higher defensive line, which gives you lots of room, especially if you're playing with a standard to low line of engagement. Every time they attack you, you're going to have a chance to attack behind them, so you'll be playing balls into space, so height doesn't really matter. So the play is just going to explode into space and just go on and try and score a goal, which is what I did in the Kingstonian diaries. Once you start getting better, teams are going to naturally become a bit deeper, and when that happens, that's when the target man needs jumping reach. That's when you need somebody who's strong in the air, who can control the ball and bring it down and play it out to other players. So your requirements could change depending on the line of engagement that you're going to be playing with. I believe that you can use one tactic for the whole season, which is why there are two versions of my tactic. The first version is when I'm punching above my weight, and it features some pretty aggressive settings, which teams probably will not be expecting if they're playing a high defensive line, and this is to take advantage of that. Here we're using play out the defense to draw teams further out. We're also using counter press so that we'll break our shape to try to win the ball back immediately after losing it. More importantly, we're playing with a higher line of engagement and a high defensive line. Now this high defensive line will really depend on your defenders. Not all teams will be able to pull this off. This is a big risk that I'm taking at the start of a season. When I come up against teams and I want to be a bit more cautious, I sometimes drop the mentality to balance, but more importantly, I stop playing out the defense and I distribute to my fullbacks. I also drop counter press and switch to regroup, and I tend to play with a higher defensive line so that I can win the second ball in midfield. So when I look at these two sets of team instructions, the first set of team instructions is very aggressive. It's all about attack, attack, attack. The second set of team instructions is all about holding my shape and trying to hit teams on the counter, using regroup intelligently, and also leveraging off my runs off my wing back when we get the opportunity. To round this off, let's take a look at the PIs. We got sweeper, keeper with no PIs. We got a wing back who's been told to cross, aim, target man and shoot less often. The fullback on the right flank has been told to cross, aim, target man, dribble less and shoot less often. The volante has nothing. The DM has nothing. The wide midfield has nothing. The pressing forward has nothing. The target man has no PIs. The only other guy who's got a PI is the inverted winger, who's told to stay wider and start his runs from a wider position. As things go, this is a pretty fun system to use in the current iteration of Football Manager. And if you have any questions, please look me up on Twitter at Bustthenet or addicted2fm.com, my website. Once again, I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel in one way or another. You can find the tactic in the link in the description below. You'll find a link to a folder which has got my tactics, my views and everything else. You guys take care, have a good one. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.